What's up? What's up, guys? Welcome to another show, man. This is the first show, man. NFL Talk with Jay. It's not preseason anymore. The regular season is here. Steve, we got our guy Steve Merril from Wager Talk, guys. If you guys don't know, we're partnered with Wager Talk. I have all type of great cappers from Wager Talk and other cappers as well coming on the channel. We're just trying to get as many vantage points. You're trying to get some cash, man, for every which way. What's up with you, Steve, my brother? How you been doing, and what do you got going at Wager Talk?
Yeah, it's funny, Jay. I've got some, recreational sports fan friends, and one of them messaged me yesterday, sent me his fantasy lineup for the NFL. He goes, "I know you're busy this week with football starting Thursday," and I was thinking to myself, "What's he talking about? We went 4-1 last week in college football, but a lot of people, football is the NFL, right? I mean, college
Right.
is secondary, so the real deal starts tomorrow night on Thursday."
Exactly, man. Can't wait. I can't wait. It's Hey, let's talk about some games, guys. What we're gonna do, we're gonna break down most of the early games for the NFL slate. I'll be trying to go live basically every day, trying to do some NFL content. So don't worry, we'll get to every single game, but there's a ton of games, right? So let's get to them here. Let's get to them. First game up Thursday night. We have the Bills, man, against the defending champs, the LA Rams, as underdogs here. Steve, this line did open up. Is the Rams being a favorite by one? It's since flipped to Buffalo land 2.5 basically across the board. 1-2 out there. Have the total open up at 52. Is basically sitting at 50, still at 52, maybe 151.5 out there. Steve, what do you think about this, my brother?
Yes, I became a full-time professional handicapper in August of 1996. I started my business, so this will be the 27th football season I've been doing this, more than I haven't been doing it, more than a quarter century. And I'd have to go back and check, but I'm pretty certain that there's never been a home underdog for the open Super Bowl defending Super Bowl champ as home underdog in Week 1 since I've been doing this, maybe ever. So it catches your eye, and like you said, they did briefly open this summer as a 1-point home favorite. Now they're a 2.5-point home dog. Be interesting to see if it hits that key number of 3, which I don't think it will. There's actually a 2 at DraftKings in some locations still, so I think it holds 2.5. If you like the Rams, I would wait. Maybe you get a 3. I doubt that'll happen. Hard not to like them on a 6-point teaser. You're getting the defending Super Bowl champs plus 8.5, covering all those key numbers 3, 4, 6, and 7. Of course, you would have to tie that up with something later this weekend, most likely on Sunday. So as we go through these games, I'll see if we see another good teaser opportunity. But look, I do think the Rams are going to regress this season. I don't necessarily disagree with this line. I did Wager Talk today on Wednesday afternoon, Wager Talk TV, and I used under 10.5 Rams season wins as my selection on the show. So I do think the Rams regress. I think Stafford staying healthy the entire season is unlikely, and they lost a lot on defense as well. So interesting Week 1 to see the defending Super Bowl champs as a home dog.
Yeah, against what could possibly be the Super Bowl favorites in the
Yeah.
Bills. Everyone I'm talking to, they're basically the highest power rated team. Just real quick, the way I look at it, I kind of like to fade the Super Bowl champs really across whatever sport. You're coming off the Super Bowl or the championship. That first game, I usually like to fade them. It's kind of like an emotional letdown when they have to view all the videos. It's taking you back to last year, and you'll have that team that wants to come in and make it a statement as well. I'd be leaning towards the Bills in this one, and I'm with you, Steve. I agree with the line move. I know the Rams are dogs, and it looks good, but I think the Bills are that team this year, and it's a big game to show that they're for real. Let's go over here to anything on this one, Steve, before we go to the next one.
No, I think the season win under 10.5 is worth a look. So I'll give out some season wins here as we go too. So Rams under 10.5 would be my recommendation. So not surprised to see them a dog here.
I like that. I like it, Steve. Let's cash. Let's go. We just had some news coming out. I don't. This line had got taken off the board. Now We did have the Ravens. This line originally opened up at 4.5 points, guys. It was sitting at 6.5. It should be back up now, Steve? Right? I know it was sitting at -7s. We did just get the news that Zach Wilson won't be in for Week 1. Let alone he won't be in for the first 4 weeks, but definitely not in this game for Week 1. So you'll have old Joe Flacco out there start versus his old team that he won the Super Bowl with, the Ravens. Steve, what do you think about this game, and how high do you think this line will get?
Yeah, maybe each week we'll start doing a Merril in the middle segment here on the show because I'm going to predict this is my middle game of the week. And the reason I say that is because it opened this summer as low as 4.5 Ravens. Mm-hmm. It's now 7, but I think it will hit 7.5. We're seeing 7 -115 in a lot of spots. As you mentioned on Wednesday afternoon, it was ruled out. They thought Wilson might not play, but now he's officially out, it looks like. So you're going to see some 7.5s. I think this game maybe lands 6 or 7. And the other reason I think that is because this looks like the most public play. I'll have my Fade the Public NFL video this weekend on Wager Talk TV. And little foreshadowing, advance notice here for the live viewers. This looks like it might be the most public game on Sunday. Ravens getting a lot of public love. And, doesn't mean they're going to lose, doesn't mean it's a bad play, but when it moves this much and crosses all those key numbers, 4.5, 7, 7.5, it makes you nervous. Now, you could tease Baltimore down to -1, and that would maybe be a decent teaser with the Rams. So, inflated line, but hard to see the Jets winning it outright.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll tell you this, guys. In NFL, I hate that, or really whatever sport, but I can't stand betting on the team that everybody's rushing to bet. Now we know that everybody's going to like the Ravens. Now they lost a ton of receivers over there, so it'll be interesting to see. Does look. First of all, where's Lamar Jackson headed with the whole contract situation, and who is he going to throw the ball to? That's my whole thing. But I don't obviously, Steve. Everybody's going to line up to go against the Jets, even if they had Wilson there. I feel like people still going to fade them. So this one could be easy to go with the Ravens, but I stay off games like this, man. I'm with you. Ravens should win. Maybe throw them in a teaser, but I won't be laying 7.5 with them. Maybe you could see some fishy stuff in one of these type of games, man. This is the NFL, my God. Let's go over here to the streets of Hot Atlanta real quick. We got the Saints laying 5.5 versus the Falcons. Steve, how do you think this new look Falcons team will look? And this line did open up at 3.5. It's been pushed up to 5.5 for the Saints. How will Mariota look for the Falcons, Steve, and how will Jameis Winston look for the Saints?
Yeah, I mean, look, you got maybe what a lot of people are considering two of the worst teams in the league as home dogs these first two games, right? Jets and Falcons. So my question mark, though, Jay, is more the Saints. Sean Payton leaves. You almost wonder if he kind of sees the writing on the wall with a franchise that I really thought was maybe the best team in the NFL a couple years ago. Couldn't get to the Super Bowl, couldn't win it. I almost feel like they missed their opportunity, and they're starting to regress here. So it does look like this line's a little pricey now at 5.5. And one thing I'll point out about both these games, Week 1, disclaimer for Week 1, it's basically I used to say it's Week 5 of the preseason still. Now it's Week 4 of the preseason, but it's still Week 1A with an asterisk because you see weird things happen in Week 1. You see results that don't correlate to the rest of the season. So, just because the Jets or Falcons go out and win this week doesn't mean they're going to be a good team still. We could all agree they're going to be a bad team this year. Doesn't mean they don't pull the upset because you see weird results in Week 1 that don't necessarily translate to the rest of the season year after year.
Yeah, that's facts right there. Yeah, a lot of these, man, I'm just interested to see how they look. This is a game I'm not interested in betting at all. I'd like to fade the Falcons, but divisional home underdog in game 1. I don't know the stats there, but I'd imagine that they do quite well. And there's a lot of questions on the Saints, in my opinion. So the Falcons might suck, but I mean, if the Saints aren't too far away from them, you see what I'm saying? So it's a tough one, man. It's a tough game. I probably won't be betting. It's a watch and see type of game for me, my guys. Let's get over here to the streets of Miami, man. A lot of hype surrounding this team, Steve. A lot of hype. Obviously, when you get Tyreek Hill over there, it's gonna be, and then can Tua get him the ball? But they have looked good somewhat in like some practices and preseason. They look good. It's just, can Tua stay consistent? Can he not make the bonehead decisions like the picks and stuff? So line open up at 3. This line was at 2. It's like 2.5 at some point. When I remember it being like at 2.5, then pushed up to 3. Now 3.5s out there, Steve. What do you think? The Patriots not getting a lot of love out there. You think Belichick and the boys can bring that defense here?
Yeah, actually, when I was out in Vegas a couple weeks ago for the meet and greet at the end of August, there were a lot of 2.5 still. So you're right. I mean, not only has it gone from the key number opener of 3 to 3.5, but it's really gone from 2.5, like you said a few weeks ago, to 3.5. That's a big jump. There's about a 10% chance that an NFL favorite wins by exactly 3. So you're talking about a pretty big difference between 2.5 and 3.5, and it might only seem like 1 point, but it's the most critical 1 point in all of sports betting is that key number of 3 in the NFL. So you have to pay attention to it. And once again, Miami's starting to look a little public, and it's always a red flag, as you know, Jay, when it's a public underdog. I didn't really see too many public dogs this week, to be honest, but not backing New England, who's always been a public team for 20 years, is almost kind of a anti-public play. So I think it's very interesting that all of a sudden Miami's getting more sentiment and love than the New England Patriots.
Yeah, that's facts right there. That's kind of like an offense versus defense, in my opinion as well. We know the Dolphins got the new coach over there. It's a tough game for him, man. But I do feel like if you like the Dolphins, that 2.5 and 3 were the time to get it. Now you're having to bet them with the hook. It's a little tricky there. And Bill Belichick might have some up his sleeve.
Yeah.
Obviously, these
Full
are
month.
they're division rivals as well. They
Right.
know each other, right? So it'd be interesting to see what happens if
Yeah,
Bill
no, Jay,
Belichick.
you said something interesting there. Like, just from a big picture perspective, you said new coach against Belichick with a full
Right.
off season to prepare. And I was like,
And
you really
Tua
want to be laying 3.5 now? Exactly.
and Tua up against Bill Belichick. I know they got Tyreek. I know they got some receivers over there, and it's a lot of hype. But you're going up against a pretty nice defense over there. But the thing with the Patriots is, can they score? Right? What's going on with the offense over there, Steve?
Talking yourself into an under 46.5, maybe.
That's what it sounds like, man. We know the defense is gonna be there with the Patriots. I don't know. I'm still not sold on Mac Jones, man. We'll see what happens though. Let's go over here. We got a good one here, Steve. We got the Browns here. Kind of sort of like a revenge game, Jay. Here you got Baker Mayfield going up against his old team in the first week of the season. This one's definitely going to have huge headlines. I know Baker Mayfield says he's going to F them up, and then Garrett says, "All right, we're going to see about that." So we know that the Browns, basically the same thing, Steve, as the Patriots right now. Really good defense. The offense with Brissett, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure right now, Steve. What are you thinking of this game?
Yeah, it's interesting. You can make an argument. Like last week, I did the top 25 college football video. I said it was a really interesting Oregon-Georgia matchup, because they had the former defensive coordinator was the new head coach of Oregon. And you can make a case, he knows the players. They know him, but he knows the player. It didn't come out, it didn't matter. I mean, Oregon smoked them. I mean, Georgia smoked them. What was it, 49-3? So here you got the case. Obviously Mayfield's familiar with the Browns, but I think it's more of an edge for the Browns to be familiar with him. You got to figure they kind of know what makes him tick, what he doesn't like, what he does like. And this is another game which really the line has really jumped. I mean, this is a situation where and these are dicey lines because the Browns were off the board most of the offseason with the Deshaun Watson uncertainty. But, they were a 4.5-point favorite as an opener at one point. Now they're a dog. Now they're a 1.5-point dog. This is one of the biggest moves we've seen. I still think they're probably the better team getting points. And if they do have something up their sleeve for Mayfield, Brissett's serviceable. I don't think he's going to win games, but hopefully he just doesn't lose games for you. So I thought this was interesting. And Carolina looks like they're the public side in this as well.
Yeah, that's fast right there. They got McCaffrey coming back, man. You got Baker Mayfield with a chip on his shoulder. The way that I'm looking at this game is obviously so quarterback is the main player on the team, in my opinion. And so you have him going up against his old squad. I know that the defense is going to want to get after him, but if Baker Mayfield is on one, we know that he can kind of rise to some occasions and he can really like drop down low as well. But if he's trying to, make a statement here, it wouldn't be surprised if Baker Mayfield went off against his old team. And like I said, I'm not really so. I know Brissett is serviceable, but I think once they get Watson in there, that's when their season starts. I know it's going to be a while, but I think it's going to take a little while for Brissett to get a little comfortable over there. But we'll see what happens, man. That line did get up to 2.5, Steve. Now it's back down to 1.5. So some Browns money starting to come back there. Let's go over here to the streets of Cincinnati here, Steve. If you guys have been paying attention, the Super Bowl loser has kind of been a fade over the past few years here. Now, since he's laying 6.5, Steve, we know that Burrow's coming off that all-season surgery, really hadn't been practicing a lot and throwing a lot as well. This kind of like a preseason game to Burrow. What do you think here, Steve? And can Trubisky and the troops, the defense, can they keep within these point spread?
Well, first of all, here's another season win play for you, 9.5. I like Bengals under 9.5 season wins because I think you're exactly right. The Super Bowl loser, not only do they not do well the following, they regress, but about 50% of the time over the last couple of decades, they don't even make the postseason. So you're looking at this, you're like, to go under 9.5, they'd have to be 9-8 or worse. But that very well could happen. And about 40 to 50% of the time, it will happen with the Super Bowl loser. And then you could also make a case, Jay, that they vastly outperformed last year. Just to get to the Super Bowl was a little bit of a surprise. This is a Bengals team just a couple of seasons ago was 4-11-1. The year before that, they were 2-14. So this team had gone 6-25 before going 13-8 last year and making the Super Bowl. So I think there's a lot of regression. So obviously you'd say, hey, as a 6.5-point favorite week one, maybe it's a play against spot. The problem is the Steelers are a little bit of a play against team for me as well. This team made the playoffs last year with a negative point differential by far, and they were by far the weakest playoff team probably statistically. New quarterback spot because Roethlisberger obviously was aging and over the hill. So I think you can make an argument there's maybe some value with Pittsburgh. This opened 6.5. It's holding 6.5 everywhere. I would wait see if you can maybe get a 7 with Pittsburgh, but it doesn't look like that's going to pop.
What do you think, Steve? Would you say that the Steelers' defense is basically just as good last year? Because I believe that to carry them, you basically
Yeah.
get an upgrade. You basically get an upgrade at quarterback, right? Because like from the quarterback play that they had last year, you basically get an upgrade at that still with the great defense. I just feel like the Steelers kind of sort of being undervalued here, and I think that the Burrow injury is being underlooked as well because we know Burrow's looking good. The Bengals could, you know what I'm saying, they can possibly smash anyone, even though I think they got a little lucky in the postseason last year. But I know I was talking to Teddy, and he's kind of worried about Burrow, especially for this first game before he gets back into his rhythm.
Well, also, and that's another reason the 9.5 under makes sense. I mentioned Rams under 10.5 because Stafford historically does not stay healthy for a full season. He did last year. There's a lot of downside risk, and that's one of the reasons, Jay, I like playing season win unders. In general, I defer to the unders because these lines are all kind of priced on what should happen, and you can't really predict and there's more downside risk than upside risk,
Right.
especially with the good teams like the Rams and Bengals, who, lo and behold, happened to be in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, injuries. I always say this, guys. Football, man. I think it's one of the most variant sports just because of the injuries. Ton of
Sure.
injuries. Anybody can go down. Literally any play. It could be the quarterback. It could be anybody. Running back, star receiver, signal caller on the defense, which was like the quarterback on the defense, middle linebacker, safety. So this is how I like to look at it, my guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. I appreciate everybody in the chat. NFL, we're doing this NFL thing here. I like the Steelers in that game though, and I like the Steelers in that one. Let's go over here to the streets of Chicago, Steve. Now I hate to. Now everyone is saying this Bears going to be trash, but it's just like what I'm looking for. So, not necessarily stone on Justin Fields. I like him. Don't think he's in the necessary right situation, right? You know what I'm saying? You know how it is. If the team is
Right.
not good at developing players, you kind of just went to the wrong place. Roquan, I believe that what's the linebacker's name? Roquan Smith, is it? I think that he's going to be playing not to get injured. They didn't want to play him. He's saying he's going to play the season, Steve. I said to myself, he's probably going to play like he's like play, but like give 50%. But regards to that, what do you think of this game? Are the Bears one of the worst teams in the NFL, Steve?
Yeah, the season win totals are around 6.5, so obviously they're projected to be one of the worst. They went just 6-11 last year, but they were 8-9, 8-8, 12-5 the 3 years before that. They won 8 games or more. But it does appear that they're heading the wrong direction. But maybe the ways we should be looking at this is: do you trust San Francisco as a big road favorite? This is a team last year that went into Detroit as I think like a 9.5 point favorite in week one. They won the game, what was it, 41-33, I believe. It was a high-scoring back-and-forth shootout. They won but failed to cover. And you just kind of get the feeling, could this be another one of those spots in which San Francisco maybe finds a way to sneak out with a win, but not the cover? Because, once again, not only do we all realize Chicago is one of the weakest teams, but I'm pretty sure the Niners probably realize it as well. And they have a home divisional game against Seattle next week, and then they're at Denver, and then they play the Rams at home after that. This is one of the games maybe they win but don't cover.
I don't see him looking ahead to Seattle though. That's a good point though. It's definitely a divisional game.
Yeah, home opener.
This is a prime teaser spot. I'm with you. I don't want to lay the points with Lance, even though he's not really a regular rookie. I still don't really want to lay the points with him week one on the road, even though I think their defense could literally hold the Bears. They could shut the Bears out, in my opinion, just on their defense alone. So it's one of those where the offense needs to do just enough. I don't think you'll get the best game from the Bears. How are you supposed to go out there and play when you know that the team is tanking for sure? I just feel like this is going to be one of the first teams that really just start to quit on their team, all the way from management. They're not trying to win right now. I'm not a fan of it at all, but we realize it, adapt and adjust, and learn to bet against, find spots to bet against. But Niners in a teaser for sure.
Or a survivor pick too, Jay. We probably should give out, some of the elimination picks for people in those survivor pools. Obviously, Baltimore and San Francisco are going to probably be the two most popular this week, but it's hard to argue against that.
Right. Yeah. I'd be trying to find some to put a Niners in a teaser. That's for sure. But people in the chat, they saying they like Niners and Vikings teaser. We're going to get to it, man. But a couple more games here. Let's go over here to the streets of Detroit here, Steve. We got the Philadelphia Eagles laying 4 points versus the Hard Knocks Lions there. It's basically been painted at 4 ever since it opened up at 4 and it's sitting at 4. Got a total sitting at 49 here, Steve. What do you think in this one? Everything I'm hearing, the Eagles are loaded. Can the Lions keep up? They're supposed to be much improved this year as well.
Yeah, I mean it's the second year with Dan Campbell. He's a kind of a rah-rah guy at head coach there, and Detroit was a really interesting team. I referenced that Week 1 game last year against San
Hmm.
Francisco in which the Lions lost 41-33, but covered as a 9.5-point home dog. And the reason I mention that is because this team won just 3 games last year, 3-13-1 straight up, but they were 11-6 against the point spread. They were one of the best point spread teams in all of football. So obviously, you know what that means, Jay. That means they lost close games. They stayed within the spread exactly. And I'd rather have an 11-6 ATS team. I don't care that they went 3-13 because we weren't playing the money line on those games. So the question is there value though? Just at what are we looking at now? 4, not even a 4.5. It's only a 4. I just don't know. Because here again, you got to trust a team at +4 to win the game straight up, and that's just something Detroit didn't do very well last year. Is win games.
Yeah, no, that's a good point there, man. My guys in chat, they liking the Bears apparently, man.
Woo.
Somebody, we'll see what happens, man. Somebody, then they saying Lance better than they saying that Fields better than Lance. Maybe if he was on the 49ers, that made sense, guys. Some players, it's not even them, it's their development from the
Oh, no
team.
question. Yeah,
Picture
supporting
guys
cast.
going to the Sacramento Kings or the New York Knicks or something right now, no matter how good they are the whole development system is just not there, man. So we'll see. I wish the best for him, but this a tough game right there. I could actually see the Eagles winning it by 3, so I'm staying away from it. I think the Lions will be feisty, especially at the house and underdogs as well. And what did they do last year? Like you said, Steve, that was just their thing: lose the game but cover, and that's exactly where that point spread is sitting. Let's go over here to the streets of Houston real quick, Steve. We got the Indianapolis Colts. This line opened up at 8, since down to 7 now. Some money coming in on the Texans. What do you think about this game? I know it's 1 7.5 out there, but I was actually surprised to see it come down to 7.5. Now down to 7 at most spots. Steve, do you think the Texans can be a feisty underdog here?
Yeah, and I mean, this is another one. Obviously, you could talk about a teaser getting them down to -1, right? You got both the Ravens, the Niners, the Colts here. They're all 7-point road favorites. But as you had a great point earlier about Week 1, and it's something I wanted to mention is that all these teams are in the playoff hunt still, even these bad teams, right? So if there's ever going to be a time where there's some home field advantage, it's probably early in the season. The weather's nice still. No one's going to sit in Chicago when it's 20 degrees below zero and they've got 3 wins in December. I mean, it's like the games are meaningless, but there's hope. Hope springs eternal in early September for these teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of these 7-point dogs wins outright. That's the only reason I'm a little nervous about teasing them down, because you could still see the outright upset. And I think Houston might be better than their season win 4.5 total suggests. I mean, I'm not sure they're going to be the worst team in football. Colts should be improved, though. But once again, it looks like a hefty price, and I think that's why the line has come from -8 down to -7.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a guessing game here because we don't know how good or how bad Matt Ryan is going to look with the Colts,
Right.
right? So, I'd like to say I lean to the Texans here. Obviously, there's a lot more when you're getting over 7. That way, you lose by a touchdown, you kind of have that comfortability. But it's kind of an unknown with me right now with the Colts. We know last year with Wentz, I'm not a big fan of Wentz whatsoever. But well, let's see what Matt Ryan's. He's on a different team now, so we'll see if they can develop him maybe a different way and really start to ball out. So that's definitely a tough game for me there. We're going to try to get to 2 more games, my guys. A couple more games. Let's go to the last early game. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars getting 2.5 versus the Washington. What are they? The Redskins, the football team, the Commanders. I'm not calling them the Commanders. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I'm
I'd
not
rather
either.
just call you Washington. But this line opened up at them laying 3. The football team laying 3 points, 3.5. Now it was down to 3. Now down to 2.5. Steve, I always say, first of all, home teams laying 3, especially in the NFL. They're basically telling you that probably the away team is better, or they're even. They're just giving home field advantage. And when that 3 goes down to 2.5, I feel like it takes some money for it to do that, Steve. So the money is liking the Jaguars here. Can we trust either of these teams?
No, cannot trust either one of these teams. That's my lock of the week right there. But look, when you're getting +2.5, because you're no longer getting that key number of 3, in which 10% of the time it's going to land on 3, exact with the favorite, as I said earlier. +2.5, I think we'd all agree. You better hope the team can win outright. And
Yes.
Jacksonville is 4-29 straight up the last 2 years. 4-29 straight up. So that makes me a little nervous. Jacksonville actually does qualify as a pretty good teaser play, though, because just on the blind, taking 2.5-point dogs up to 8.5 has been money in the bank for decades because you're getting every key number working for you. 3, 4, 6, 7. 3 and 7 being the most important, obviously. So Jacksonville from 2.5 up to 8.5 is a really good teaser. I'd mentioned earlier the Rams from 2.5 up to 8.5 on Thursday night would qualify in that same line of thought. The chat viewers are smart, Jay, because the Vikings also fit that mold, the one they were mentioning, around 1.5, getting them up to 7. You want to cross 3 and 7. It's that simple. Yeah, the Commanders. Look, I grew up in the D.C. area, so I was a Washington Redskins season ticket holder throughout the 80s and 90s when they were good, when Joe Gibbs was there. It's been very easy for me to lose interest the last 20 years. I thank Daniel Snyder for that. It's made me very neutral as a handicapper. And then the 1% that I still cared went out the window when they went to Commanders. So I'm a 0% Redskin fan now. And last year, it was a typical thing. They win 4 straight upset wins midseason. They upset Tampa. They won 4 straight. And then they went 1 and 5 straight up down the stretch. So I don't trust either one of these teams, but I do trust Jacksonville plus 8.5 in the teaser.
Yeah, that's sex right there. My guys, they liking the Jags. They took them plus a 3, but it's like I don't know what to do with this game, man. I'll tell you this: I'm not laying points with the Commanders
or bad teams in general. That's a good strategy in the
NFL. Anyway, man. So I always say you don't have to bet the game if you don't know if there's a lot unknown. Just stay away from it. But it's Jags or nothing from me in that one, and wouldn't talk you off of teasers. Will definitely don't see the Commanders winning by double digits. I don't think they'll even win the game, but it's basically be the battle of which one of them turns the ball over the most, in my opinion. Let's go one more because I really want to talk about this game here, Steve. I'm kind of liking the Vikings here. The Vikings are getting 1.5 points versus the Packers. Obviously, a lot of question marks for the Packers as well. Their best player basically other than Aaron Rodgers over there, but who's he going to throw it to? I mean, they have a few receivers over there, but he's not even the quarterback's not a fan of him. So can they get on the same page here? Line open up at 1. It's 1-1 out there, 1.5s, 2s. What do you think about this one? I think the Vikings are a really good teaser play, and I think they win this one outright.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Minnesota, as we said, a really good teaser play because you're going from 1.5 to 7.5. That's the key. 2.5 to 8.5. You want to cover 3 and 7. The difference is, would you rather have the Vikings as a home dog or the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road, right? So, yeah, Minnesota looks like a really good teaser play for me for that reason as well. It's obviously a winnable game. They look like a playoff caliber team, and it should be a dogfight. I mean, this is the divisional, high-profile, national TV, late afternoon game, and the Packers do have some questions, like you said. So, Vikings plus 7.5 on a teaser looks pretty good. And you can tie that up with the Jags, tie that up with the Rams, some other games we've mentioned.
Exactly. Y'all listen up, man. We're giving out them teaser leagues. That's a good way to beat the NFL as well, guys. The lines are tight. They're sharp. The good way, the two teams 6-point teaser minus 110. I couldn't talk you off that. You see what I'm saying? I know people that literally just bet NFL teasers, 2 teamers, 6-point teasers, and win. I'm talking about a bunch, man. So we're just trying to help people out, man. Try to get some cash, my brothers. That's what we're trying to do, man. That's all we're trying to do. But let's get to some picks, man. Real quick, I want to let you guys know. Go check out Steve Merril over at wagertalk.com, man. This guy does everything: baseball, football, college and NFL, basketball, college and NBA. Man, this guy's a one-stop shop. You can get an all-access pass from with Steve Merril, 2 R's and 1 L over there at Wager Talk. Steve, let them know what you got going. Any promo codes and any picks, season win totals that you want to give out for the people, my brother.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I got this promo code Wednesday afternoon. I didn't even mention it yet on Wager Talk TV. I'm going to mention it on your show first. It'll be on my page through the weekend. It's 25% off any package, short-term or long-term. I mean, this is actually, honestly, an incredible deal. Like, if you want to sample the weekend, save 25%. If you're serious about investing, you're getting 25% back in your bankroll, like on a full season package for any sport, any option. Steve25 is the code, Steve25. Use it at checkout on my page right now, Steve Merril, wagertalk.com. 2 season win totals. I mentioned the Rams under 10.5 earlier. Let's look at the Titans under 9.5 as well. Now, there's a lot of 9s out there, so shop around. But these are 2 teams, playoff caliber teams, I think are going to regress this season. And as we talked about, there's downside risk with injuries just on top of that. So Rams under 10.5, Titans under the 9.5. And then I'll tease you with the 2-team teaser. Vikings, I think you could tie them up with multiple options. But I'll make it the Jags plus 2.5 up to 8.5. Commanders got to win by double digits. Basically, I'll take my chances on that. So Jags and Vikings in a 2-team 6-point teaser.
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna ride with you. I'm gonna ride with you on that, man. My two teams 6 point teaser is going to be the 49ers and the Vikings. I'm gonna go with that, man. I'm gonna go with that two team 6 point teaser. I'm gonna put that in right now. I like it, man. If the Bears beat them straight up, hey, it happens, man. But also honorable mentions on the spread that I'm looking at for week one: Steelers plus 6.5, Vikings plus 1.5, Bills minus 2.5, and Giants plus the 6, my guys. That's what I'm looking at, man. I'm trying to get some cash. I'll be back on here tomorrow as well with more official picks, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We appreciate your time as well, man. Leave those comments in the chat. Go follow Steve right now on Twitter at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L. You can follow me as well at J Money is Money. Let's get some cash, guys. NFL Talk with Jay going live every day until the end of the season. We appreciate your time. We out.